right, let's start that conversation on the state of politics. We'd like to hear your views on every single subtopic that we'll talk about, from Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i saying more than 40% of possible people will be elected into parliament will be wash, and drug lords. And then we'll talk about also Karua and Nyeri being endorsed by elders, and also we'll talk about Kalonzo's about turn. It's on the dailies right now. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. Let me introduce my guest real quick. Honorable Priscilla Nyokabi is here now. She's a former commissioner in GEC, that is National Gender Equality Commission. There's a former commissioner, Priscilla Nyokabi. Kipruto Rapkiro is also here, Deputy Chair UDA. Boni Halwale, former Senator for Kakamega, is also with us in studio. We're still waiting for Franklin Mukwanja, Executive Director, CMD, that is Center for Multi-Party Democracy. He'll be joining us from Tanzania in just a bit. But let's start off with the dailies. Front page of the Standard, the intrigues behind Kalonzo's sudden change of heart. Wiper leader attends interview for deputy post after dismissing the exercise, shocking even his own allies. It's not the first time he's making an about turn on issues. Is it a strategy, or is he just indecisive? Alwale, I'll start with you on this, because even your side of the political divide has been talking about this a lot. The question Standard is asking today is it a strategy, or is he just indecisive?
That one cannot be mine. In fact, if you give me a bit of time,
yes,
I would go behind the cameras and make a call to either Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
yes,
or Honorable Mwazo. They appear to know the game plan of Kalonzo Musyoka.
But your people have been saying that it is demeaning for him to show up in the panel discussion. Do you agree with the sentiments of your side?
I don't agree with all those people, because Kalonzo wants to be the president of Kenya, either now or in the near future. And therefore, people should not be helping him to make decisions on obvious matters, critical as they are, the way I see his MPs. They are only helping to paint him as A, indecisive, B, as a tribal chief. It would be very well if it was a member of the Wiper Democratic Movement, which we thought was a national party, and he was not necessarily coming from his community. So Kalonzo continues to become more and more unsuitable to be material for President of the Republic of Kenya.
Why would you say that?
Because of the above, that clearly he's defending a tribal agenda, and this is why he's being defended by members of his community. Two, unsuitable because if he cannot make his own decisions, then we doubt that on those many other occasions when he would be expected to make decisions sometimes on the spur of the moment as head of state, then he would not do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your reading as well for this? Because first, your side of the divide had said that it's very demeaning for Kalonzo to appear for the interview. He said he would not appear, then he appeared.
Well, I'm worried for my brother Kalonzo. We work together as members of the cabinet, Kibaki 1. But increasingly, he's becoming erratic. I would have expected him to either stay out, and if he's not picked as a candidate for running mate, he remains within the coalition. He would have been respected more. But what he has done is that he has thrown his supporters into disarray, and I think he does not have the capacity to rally them anymore, because whether he's picked or he's not picked, he has lost a substantial following, and also the confidence of some Kenyans who have a lot of respect for him, including myself.
So you've lost respect for him. Why?
Totally, because you see, you cannot say one thing as a leader, then the following day you do the opposite. I think many of us, we are where we are, not because of other things, but because we have a stand. If I say I'm working with Ruto today, I will work with him. If I say I'm not working with him tomorrow, I do not owe anybody an apology, because it's a decision that I make as a politician. And politics is about your own stand. The only thing which remains when all the things are taken is your stand. And that is a political definition of somebody who wants to be a leader.
Yeah.
Yep.
Priscilla?
I think the same, just sort of to be fair to him, You could probably think of him as a chess player. So he was waiting to see the moves by the other opponents and then make his own move. But for the position that is under conversation, by the way, it's not interviews. They have spent a lot of time clarifying that it is only a conversation. This is a conversation on deputy president, a heartbeat away from the presidency. There's a certain level of maturity, a certain level of calm, a certain level of not talking too much that is required for that position, which I'm afraid that the former vice president is now not exhibiting. In fact, the more he does these games, the more he looks unsuitable. As opposed to these games helping, these games now show that you are actually not the kind of deputy president that the country needs. And I would hope that he calms down sufficiently because he's already in Azimio. Remember, Azimio has already changed its name to Azimio One Kenya Coalition. To accommodate him. If you're already in Azimio One Kenya Coalition, you should then be in Azimio for certain ideals. Whether you are offered the position of deputy president or not, the ideals that brought you to Azimio One Kenya Coalition should make you stay there. And I like what Mheshimiwa is saying about taking a stand. There are two sides to this election, the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and the Azimio Coalition. Take a stand and be firm in that stand. And now go on to build your side of the coalition, because we are looking forward to one of the best elections around issues. For example, what has come out of the economic agenda for our country. So you can listen to what Kenya Kwanza is saying, listen to what Azimio is saying on issues. Not chess play, not, you know, not going to the interviews and then going, and then conversation. I just don't like how it looks.
Okay. But Alwale, what is wrong with going for the interview? Because if you compare with the Kenya Kwanza side, we still haven't seen any sort of vetting panel.
There is everything wrong about it, because the prerogative of choosing a running mate rests with the presidential candidate. It is not expected that the presidential candidate would then run his would-be running mate through what they are doing. In fact, for purposes of understanding this matter slightly more, I think the issue of those interviews is confirming, that these people came together purely because of looking for positions. And therefore, a process must be choreographed to manage their expectations as far as those positions that they promised each other are concerned. The second one is that Raila is a puppet of that group of people or that person who is ensuring that he gets the kind of running mate that is expected to have. Otherwise, if Raila was not a puppet, if he was his own man, this would not be the case. Don't forget, just across the road, we have the deputy president, William Ruto. He's absolutely under no pressure from anybody to either announce the process that he wants to use to pick his presidential running mate, or neither is he under any pressure from a group of individuals or an individual that it must be me. So, this being the case, we would like Kenyans to know that we have on one side people who would like to uphold the rule of law, and others who would like to bend the law so as to meet the expectations. Allow me to explain a little bit more. On our side, the deputy president is enjoying the prerogative of picking his running mate. But our good neighbors, they are behaving badly the way you are seeing, because everybody who goes to Azimio goes there having been promised a position. So, when the position is not forthcoming, they perpetually live on the edge of losing this particular person. So they have to keep on holding that person, and I'm not therefore surprised that they are waiting to announce the 3 names that Raila will have to choose from on Wednesday, almost on the eve of the day that IEBC expects them to, because they want to keep on holding on these people. I can tell you, everybody in Azimio who hopes to be running mate is waiting to run away if he is not the beneficiary. So they have to keep on delaying it, holding them in that holding zone until such a time that they have nowhere to go to. See what Dr. Alfred Mutua has done. Having completely convinced himself that he has no chance, he has taken a walk. And many are going to do the same. I was looking at the people who are being interviewed, and I saw only one person who cannot take a walk.
Who?
My good friend, good old friend, Stephen Tarus. Stephen Tarus is my neighbor at home there. Tarus is the only one who would not take a walk.
Some of them, like Martha Karua, have already declared that they will not leave. Peter Kenneth also said that even if he's not picked, he will not leave. Same thing with Sabina Shenge. So it is not fair for you to say that they will leave, and yet they've declared that they will not.
I have worked for very many years with Martha Karua on issues of principle. And now that she's walked a different path, and I've walked a different path, I wouldn't want to discuss what she's doing on TV. The person you're seeing on the screen is not Martha Karua. That is not Martha Karua. Ask any, including her younger sister here. That is not Martha Karua. Something has happened. So don't provoke me to say things about her that will not necessarily make it easier for me to continue working with her.
Why would you say it's not her? Do you think why would you say that's not her decision? She's said it.
The Martha Karua,
on record,
who was Martha Karua, stopped the day after BBI was thrown out. Don't forget. Why are you pushing me to say these things? Don't forget that the people who are behind the scenes on BBI actually put Mother's name on the list of the people who would be challenging BBI. She can come here and then we do that debate together. It will be more healthy and academic. So when it was thrown away, that was the end of Martha Karua. All these things she's doing is not Martha Karua.
Priscilla, do you agree with that statement?
No, I don't agree with that statement at all.
Yeah.
And seeing the excitement, for example, the women's constituency has received Martha Karua's candidacy for the deputy president. I think that assertion is not true.
Yeah.
I sat in a room when Martha Karua first declared she was going to run for presidency. And I loved what she told us then, that no seat is unavailable to women in this country, that women can rise up to any position. She probably knew she wasn't going to win, but she didn't want that in a ballot paper,
yeah,
that women have tunaweza tu kuenda mpaka hapa. We should be able to go up to whatever level. And so it is not true that she has changed that much, because she's come on to, and even her opposition, for example, to BBI, it was not in non-recognition of the issues that are underlying. For example, 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, which is a really big concern for the mountain. The fair representation, the sharing of resources. And if you look at the track record that she has had, she's even now come to Azimio with NARC Kenya. So she continues to be on course as far as her principles are concerned. What she has done, and I know Bonnie would have a different view had Mother joined Kenya Kwanza. Now that she did not join Kenya Kwanza, Bonnie is not as happy as he would have been had she joined them.
Yeah.
On our side of the coalition Azimio, we are particularly happy because she's had a track record of constitutional reforms. She's had a track record of water reforms. She's had a track record of democracy, multi-party democracy. And so she is at home here.
Yeah.
In fact, our biggest view around the conversation, so sort of the running mate conversation going on, is that this running mate conversation must be deep enough to look at, for example, the experiences of the deputy president we now have. But remember, this is the first running mate combination we've had, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in 2013 and again in 2017. And we have experiences, for example, from Nigeria to draw from. So that the deputy president we now pick for this election of 2022 must draw from the experiences of what we have learned. And that requires a conversation. It's not exactly an interview. And I like that the conversation then can look at experiences a process of consensus building, because everybody, in fact, if you look at the list of all the 11, actually any one of them could be deputy president.
Yeah.
So just how do you pick one or three from that whole list of 11 is a galaxy of stars, which I love that we have. In fact, part of the reason Kenya Kwanza doesn't have this problem is they don't have a galaxy of stars to choose from. So we have a galaxy of stars to choose from. We must have a process, consensus building, negotiation, pros and cons, and for us women, the gender question must be brought in there, because we are really looking forward to a running mate who is of the opposite agenda. And I suspect that what Azimio does may in some ways influence what Kenya Kwanza does. So we think that if we pick a woman, it's very likely that Kenya Kwanza could also pick a woman. And that would give us a very good chance at an outcome of the presidential election that gives us a woman for the deputy president after the election.
Yeah.
And that's just the conversation. And I like that we take these seats with the seriousness they deserve. The running mate is a heartbeat away from the presidency. You can't have strong arm tactics like what is now going to happen in Kenya Kwanza, because Kenya Kwanza without a process, it means that the presidential candidate will then pick the person that they most like without considerations of regions, considerations of other parties, considerations of other concerns. And these other concerns for me I like because gender is part of those concerns. The only thing for Kenya Kwanza is that, and where Bonnie is not honest, the jostling for deputy president and running mate is the same across. I'm sure even them, they have some people jostling, Kindiki, Waiguru, Regade from my own county. So the jostling is the same. So I don't know how they're going to handle that jostling.
Yeah.
Whether you then, strong arm tactic, you say, don't talk about this. And yet it is a live question. The deputy president will also pick a running mate. So it is much neater to have a process around which a running mate is picked.
Yeah.
But my own underlying theme, let women be part of this conversation now, and let Mother Karua lead us on that charge. Of course, it's just to note that we also have Sabina on our side of coalition.
And Gilu.
And there are good women also on the Kenya Kwanza, Waiguru and Alice Wahome. Let gender be a major concern for the position of running mate.
Kiro, are you simply waiting to see what Azimio does before you decide? Because Priscilla is saying you're waiting on the periphery to see what they decide so that it will influence your decision as well.
I like our excitement about bashing us in Kenya Kwanza, because we also have a process. It doesn't mean that we do nothing, because we've been consulting from October last year on the possibility of how to have a ticket that is friendly to all Kenyans. That's why we went out to look for good friends and partners. And in this case, I want to emphasize that there is no party that we can say is a small party. That's why Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and many other members of Kenya Kwanza came on board. We feel that we have a stronger ticket in terms of diversity. We have also a number of stars, ranging from most of the governors that are with us, and also other luminaries like Bone Khalwale. What stops us from picking him as a running mate to our party leader? So it is not entirely true that we are devoid of process. We've been consulting with the deputy president on a number of issues, and including that of issue of running mate. They need to have a balanced ticket where the second in command and also perhaps the third in command, given the fact that we feel it is not complete to have just two individuals. Most important, the ticket must also be friendly, and the two must complement each other. In fact, at times I have this feeling that for us to be able to have a very smooth transition is that let's have somebody that after 10 years, they can also retire with the deputy president when he becomes the next president, for purposes of ensuring that we have smooth transition. And in future, perhaps, we can also have a caveat that if you are a running mate, please, after 5 years, after the 10 years, you can have a period of 5 years to step out, then you can come back on a new slate to avoid the kind of issues between the deputy president and the president. Yeah. That one is saying, I'm pursuing an agenda, and the agenda is to make sure that you edge out your deputy from taking over from you. Yeah. Some of these issues can be neater if we're able to have a smooth constitutional arrangement. But that pact disadvantages the current deputy president, because if you're saying that then they should just go home together,
that should have applied to him as well, or now it's not going to be true?
Well, you know, the law cannot be applied in the past.
Yeah.
You just apply the law as you go forward. I'm saying in future, we can also have that kind of arrangement,
whereby
as part of a conversation that after 10 years, you can step aside for 5 years, then you come back on a clean slate. So that you avoid issues of saying, okay, you are campaigning too early. Imagine if the deputy president never campaigned 2 years ago. You would have been edged out by the deep state. But now he was able to understand and demystify the deep state by campaigning in good time for him to have some gravitas on the ground.
But that will bring almost a constitutional crisis, because then essentially you're telling someone they would never really ascend to the head of state position. The farthest they can go is deputy president.
You've not understood my explanation. I'm saying if Nyokabi is my running mate, after 10 years, she can step aside for 5 years, then come back on a clean slate. So that is how to avoid the kind of wrangles that we are having today.
Of course, this is a proposal you're making, so this would definitely be challenged in court. But you're saying that the pact should go together,
in future.
And then in future. It's a proposal. I'd like to hear your views also on this. But first, before we get into that, if you're not basing the selection of a running mate on a vetting panel, that they then say, this is the reason why we suggest this and this person, what are you basing it on?
I've said we've been having conversations from October last year. Bonnie does know that we've had conversations, and there are certain names that have been floated.
But why are you choosing those names? What are you basing it on?
A number of issues. How are they complementing each other? What is the person bringing on board? What is the track record of the person? All those conversations can be done away from the cameras. This is more of just playing to the gallery to tell us that, you know, you cannot tell me somebody wants to be head of state, does not know whoever he wants. Because eventually that decision will rest with the person who is going to be the next president. Otherwise, if you can have so many names, and you make some kind of drama showing us that we are going through a process, and yet you know exactly who you want to pick. So what we've been doing is just consultation behind the scenes. He is a member of the political bureau, and political bureau has been engaging on such matters, and one of which is to say who are the suitable running mates. Some other players have come on board, perhaps. If we start today, we might have to change some of the dynamics that we have developed in the past.
All right, President, before I come to Alwale.
Sure. Let me start with the cooling off period, which is what the law calls it as he proposes. It is true that in some positions you can allow a cooling off period just to distance the past from the future, to just sort of, like what happens with IBC. You know that you cannot be an IBC commissioner immediately after being a parliamentarian. You need a cooling off period of 5 years, and then you can come back and serve as commissioner. I particularly myself favor it for governors who now want to go to Senate. I'm very worried, because you're coming to audit your own records. It's a very untidy legal position, because you're governor 10 years, and then now you come to Senate. The Auditor General just finishes the report of your own county government. Then you now are sitting as a senator. I mean, I don't even know what we're doing here as a country. So that cooling off period might have been good, that if you serve as governor, you cool off so that we finish with your records, and then after 5 years you come and you can be a senator. But then the law needs to develop in that line. So the same also for the deputy presidency. It could be as a principle in future be developed. The only thing is that now the deputy president has also been used, not even just deputy president, even deputy governor, has been used as a position of preparing for the very main position in the first place. And you become a deputy governor or a deputy president as you prepare for the main seat, which is also our excitement with Mother Karua, for example. We think that she also should sit here and prepare, so that in our lifetime, and in not very far off, we can actually have a woman president in this country. And having a woman running mate for us is just joining the region's statistics. Uganda has had it, Tanzania has had it, is just here in Kenya, Ethiopia has had it, so we in Kenya should also join those ranks. But the one I want to go into is this open vetting versus closed vetting. So it is true, and I like the correction, that indeed there is a process and not all processes must be put out there in public. I think it's just the difference of approach, because the thing with an open vetting, which is what we do for the Chief Justice, is now something that the country is getting used to. We have loved seeing Chief Justices being grilled, being questioned, sharing their vision, sharing their compatibility levels with other organs of state, parliament, and executive. I think that the same, there are very clear benefits of an open process as opposed to a closed process, and that's the difference. Azimio has chosen an open process, and Kenya Kwanza has chosen a closed process, but it is not, I like the correction, it is not to say that there's no process. It's just, do you go for an open process or do you go for a closed process? And there are very, very clear advantages of an open process. In fact, this open process might even surprise you that the names that we think should have been the ones brought are actually not the ones, because they can then, like the compatibility with the presidential candidate, I think that's a major question. Yeah. How compatible are you going to be with the presidential candidate? How well do you share in the values and the agenda of the presidential candidate sufficient for you to then be able to deliver it? Because this early campaigning of the deputy president, while it has benefited him as an individual, the country has had a cost, because then you have a deputy president who's not been present to serve the roles of the deputy president. So while there are lessons, honestly, that we have had in the last 10 years, which must then bear on the country as we pick the next running mate for, the next season.
Okay. Let me bring in Alwale on this, and there are two issues that have come up: closed process, open process, and cooling off period. Let's start with the closed one, because Rapkiru has said you're part of that closed one yourself, actually.
Very well. Before I do that, allow me to comment on what Nyokabi has said.
Yeah.
She is saying that when she looks at the possible deputy presidents on the Azimio side, she sees a galaxy of stars. Beauty is in the beholder's eye. But to some of us, we are not seeing a galaxy of stars. We are seeing a galaxy of greed. Greedy people like Kalonzo, who openly says, directly and through his own spokespeople, that if you don't make me the running mate, then I'm going to take a walk. That is not a star. And I don't want you, because of your age, to still be a prisoner of history. Who says that the only people who have the face of a star are the guys who worked with Moi and so on, and either with the Kenyatta at the tail end, or who worked with Kibaki? No, a star can even be a star when he doesn't have that kind of history. I can proudly tell you that if, for example, for argument's sake, the deputy president announced that the bullfighter is the running mate, I would excite this country in a manner that you do not understand. Let me tell you for a fact. Yes, because we have earned it. But because you guys are prisoners of the history of some of these people, you think that's that. How on earth would you deny me a claim on being a star in the politics of the country and give, for example, Gideon Moi, who we joined parliament at the same time with? And the only thing that he has put on the table for all these years is that he's the son of the former president. In fact, as far as stardom is concerned, some of us, at the time we entered into politics, we had higher credentials than President Uhuru. Thank you very much. The second point,
stars, I must respond.
The
second point, at least some of the stars have not been discredited.
The second point,
at least the women stars have survived his.
The second point is the decision on the running mate.
Yeah.
I agree with my two colleagues here, but I want to assure you, members of the public who are watching, that a decision on the running mate, Kenya Kwanza side and Azimio side, has already been made. Azimio side, the decision has been made, but they are going through drama.
So who is it?
Ask Nyogabi to announce.
Okay, speak for Kenya Kwanza then. Who's
on the
Kenya
Kwanza side,
running mate?
A decision has been made, but we don't want drama because we are not under pressure.
So who is it? This is not a dramatic setup.
I'll come.
Who's the running mate?
We are not under any pressure. Nobody is putting the deputy president under any pressure. We are not foolish people not to have reflected on who would be an attractive running mate. The only thing that is happening is that because we are not under any pressure, the deputy president, and I think he hinted it the day before yesterday or yesterday, that he's about to announce. If you ask me to announce, is to assume that I'm a presidential candidate. That is the prerogative of the candidate. I am not, and therefore I cannot.
But then you can't authoritatively say that the decision has been made if you don't know who it is.
Exactly. If for argument's sake, it is true that Azimio has not made a decision on who is their running mate, then they're not prepared to go into this election. Before I pulled out of the gubernatorial race, I had already made a decision on my running mate. It is something which you must do way in advance for planning purposes.
Okay.
Now, taking it slightly further, who is the ideal running mate? Let's face it.
Yeah.
The ideal running mate depends on who is the presidential candidate.
Okay.
Where a presidential candidate is not able to command a reasonable number of votes, then the ideal running mate for him is the guy who will come in with enough votes to top up.
Okay. So who's the ideal running mate for Kenya Kwanza?
So in Azimio, because Raila has lost his shine, he's desperately trying to put together tribal chiefs so that they come with votes.
Okay.
But on our side, because our presidential candidate has earned a national name, give it to him, has earned a national name, he's not under pressure to look for a candidate who will come in with block votes. He's under pressure to look for a candidate who will give the image to Kenyans that we now have a team that is going to work for this country, that is going to grow our economy, that is going to reverse the mistakes of the past.
Yeah.
That is where we are.
Okay.
So you cannot compare it with darkness. We are in the light.
But Olole, you said you're a star in politics, and you can lead the way.
With due respect.
So who is the ideal running mate for Kenya Kwanza? Just, it doesn't. You're not announcing the running mate.
Yes.
Who is the ideal?
That I can answer very quickly.
Yes.
The ideal running mate, who has already been decided on, is the one that is going to help the deputy president when he is president to ensure that the bottom-up, middle-out economic model is realized in this country. Two, the ideal running mate is the one that is going to bring the people, the forgotten majority onto the decision-making table. You can see a great lawyer, like my younger sister here, even throws somebody like Kirwa and Khalwale into the unforgotten majority, where she doesn't see any stardom in us. So
no, that's...
She didn't say that, though.
This is now...
You are a star, Bonnie, don't worry.
Pull down, pull down. So our ideal running mate is the one who is going to then help the deputy president to bring this forgotten majority onto the decision-making table, including what we proudly say in all our rallies, including yesterday we said, including Mama Mboga, Boda Boda, and so on.
And
when you talk about Mama Mboga,
because you've been in these circles, you know, who is that? Who would you see as an elder in politics, as a star in politics, and say, this is the ideal person, in my view? Who would it be for Kenya Kwanza?
Unfortunately, I'm not a journalist like you. It is journalists who have come up with names. In fact, some of the names we see you saying as the leading contenders for deputy president in Kenya Kwanza, we don't know who tells you.
Okay, so who are the leading contenders?
So if I was a journalist, I would do what you're doing. But the deputy president is going to announce the person who is going to help him do these things. I was making a very important point, that when we say Mama Mboga will be part of this, people are very dismissive of Mama Mboga.
Yeah.
There are some Mama Mbogas and Wakili, you know it. Great women, very capable women, far much better endowed than some of the politicians I've worked with. It's only that they have been thrown to the dustbin as people who do not know anything.
Okay.
When we have been doing our consultations, region by region, on the ideal economic agenda for a particular region, some of the people addressing us, they address us and you say, that one honestly, I didn't know. So let's open up to the country so that at the end of the day, 10 years from now, our children will truly have equal access to opportunity, including the opportunity to become head of state. So that never again shall a top lawyer like you come on national TV and say that we have another pool of Kenyans called stars and another pool called non-stars.
Okay. I have to take a quick break now. When you come back, I'll give you a chance to respond, Priscilla. This is a commercial break. I have to take really quick. Keep your views coming at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back shortly.